Welcome to Philly TechConnect podcast, where Philly's tech minds meet. CEOs, developers, dreamers. This is your space. Each week we explore the journeys of tech innovators. Join us and be inspired.
Hey everyone, Dave here with another episode of the Philly TechConnect podcast. Today I'm speaking with Patrick Thompson. Patrick began his journey in PR, marketing, and journalism, but he was once recruited into an incubator, and it's just that he never looked back. He now consults in the same area. He's got his own incubator called Bootstrap First. He's a member of the PTE community. He's a great dude. Patrick, how you doing?
I am doing well, and thank you for the kind words.
So tell us a little bit about your time being in an incubator. Where is this in your journey, your life? What motivated you to join one, and what did you get out of it?
So it really started, I'll even rewind a little bit. I started, as you mentioned, doing PR, marketing, all sorts of copywriting, internal, external comms, but it was pretty much for emerging technology companies. So that really gave me a lot of exposure to these earlier stage companies, their successes, their wins, also what they struggled with, their failures. And it just got to the point where I wanted to do more than help companies tell their stories. I wanted to play a bigger role in building them up and helping them be successful. That's when, as you mentioned, I was recruited into an incubator. It was a digital asset incubator. And really, that was a point in time where the model shifted a bit from when you're helping companies tell their stories, you're not really focusing on some negative things that are taking place. You're communicating their value props to the world, what it is that they're good at to the world. Now, when you're on the inside, you do see what they struggle with. You do hear more about their challenges, and they're asking for help more often. And part of your job is to connect them with some of these resources that are more likely to help them succeed. I guess that experience gave me a look at what became both sides of the coin. Not only where people were winning, but also where people were struggling. And I found that invaluable. I think learning is kind of this continuous thing. So it was great to see one side of it. Okay, I'm helping people tell their stories. Then it was great to get that experience of, okay, I'm seeing what goes wrong and what goes right. And it's the resources people need to be successful. And that journey's ongoing. It's never ending. So it is what I do today. And I don't believe it's going to stop.
Yeah, I love that, man. Incubator is a word that it's out there. I'm never quite sure about where it fits in with an accelerator and the differences and stuff. Why might a founder want to join an incubator, and what should they expect?
You make a good point right off the bat. A lot of people use words like incubator and accelerator interchangeably, but they are two quite different things. So first, I'll say when it's the right time for an incubator, because an incubator comes before an accelerator. It is much earlier stage. I'd honestly say it's pre-seed. It's before somebody's raised their pre-seed round, or maybe they have raised pre-seed, but it is that very early stage before they found anything that even looks like product market fit. Maybe they don't even have customers at that point. It really is like the chicken eggs in the incubator, and they want to hatch, they want to blossom into something, but they just haven't been able to do that yet. Versus an accelerator, which I'll just touch on for a second. Accelerators, when you're further along, you most likely do have clients and customers. Maybe you haven't found product market fit, but maybe you're pretty close to it, and you need fewer resources to probably catalyze your success. Maybe it is just tapping into the right network, and they're helping you with things like distribution and making customer segments aware. But you're much further along in your journey at that point in time when it is time for an accelerator. So that's the incubator accelerator distinction. But I do need to ask, what was the original question that led me down that road?
I think I was also asking why a founder might choose an incubator. Why I guess not maybe wait and maybe try an accelerator, or what are they looking to kind of get out of it? How long should they expect to be in it? What do they expect to give up for it? Just give us a little insights into the model.
Yeah. So thank you for putting me back on track there. So yeah, I think it's the right time for a founder or a startup to look for an incubator. If I like to say idea stage, they truly are at the very beginning of their journey. Or maybe they have been at it for, let's say, 2 to 3 years, but they're really struggling to get clients and customers into the business. I like to call that pre-revenue, where they're just not at that point where they have this repeatable sort of customer factory of this is how we find people, this is how we bring them in, this is how we keep them happy, this is how we keep them coming back to the business. And I think people turn to incubators for many reasons. I think some of the most common ones I see is that, one, this is a lot of people's first kind of business journey. And unless you are surrounded by either individuals that have done it before or others who are on that same journey, it can get pretty lonely, isolating. I think it's very easy to get confused and kind of go down the wrong route or stray away from the path that is most likely to take you to success. I think that's one reason people kind of look for a framework, a week-over-week structured framework that's likely to increase their chances of being successful. Another thing that I see is that some people need an accountability partner. A word I've heard people use is like, hey, it's almost like a personal trainer for startups, where it's great that we can sit alone and have all these ideas, but unless somebody's holding our feet to the fire, really forcing us to have deliverables for the business that bring us closer to, in my case, it's an early adopter launch. I bring people closer to their early adopter launch. If somebody isn't checking in on them week over week or even a couple times per week, a lot of people just don't end up doing the work. I think those are two of the biggest reasons that people find value in tapping into an incubator, and two of the biggest reasons I see people coming to the Bootstrap First incubator.
What should someone expect to have to give to be in the incubator? Is it more of just a straightforward paid model? You pay a price and then you get access to it? Do you give it up equity, a mix of both?
So similar to a lot of things in this world, it's dynamic, and I'm always trying to evolve as well. So for the first cohort, which is up and running at the moment, and I'll touch on that for a second too. It's the success metrics are beginning to appear. We have one company that recently raised $100,000 in non-dilutive funding. We have another company who recently won Best in Class at a conference that they were attending. But for this first incubator, it was purely a participation fee to be part of the program. Moving forward, so cohort number 2 and beyond, it is a participation fee and a small percentage equity, 2% equity in the second cohort to participate in the program. And what the program looks like, you might as well touch on that a bit as well. What the program looks like is it's 100 days in its entirety, and it's really broken into 3 different stages. In the first, they deconstruct their idea and understand if it's financially feasible. In stage 2, it's a lot of customer discovery, because that's the point in time when the hypothesis of a solution that they have is either confirmed to be something that people within the market want, or you, at that point in time, you learn that nobody wants this thing that you've set out to build and that you would like to build. But regardless, the pain points that your target customer segment experiences, it does emerge over that period of time. And once you identify the pattern, the problems people are frequently experiencing, then you can design a prototype that really speaks to that early adopter audience and convert a percentage of them, I like to say 10%, into paying clients and customers. So it's really a lean startup frame that we run over the course of 100 days. And that's what the program looks like. Also working on a program for alumni, as we're going to have this alumni network, but that's nothing that we're ready to talk about right now.
Oh, good. I love that you've introduced already the model behind Bootstrap First. It's an interesting name. I want to kind of hear your reasoning behind calling it that. And also the model that you've described, is that something that one would expect to be kind of uniform across incubators, or is it sort of like a unique approach that you're taking here?
I'll start with the second question, then I'll dip back into the first. Yeah, it's not an uncommon model. There's some instances where there's a participation fee and startups give a percentage equity in their company. There's other models where maybe the incubator or accelerator makes a small equity investment in the startup that's participating in the program in exchange for equity. But both are common models that are seen pretty frequently. Now, when it comes to why the name is Bootstrap First, and really my focus began, and notice I say began, as helping companies bootstrap, right? I feel like a lot of early stage companies do not need venture financing, that what it is that they're building, they're really able to bring in their first set of paying clients and customers and use that revenue to sustainably run their business. Now, something I've learned, and I'll say this, the inspiration behind that was I previously worked at incubators in the past. And I say, classic incubators have a classic problem where I realized through a lot of customer discovery of both programs that are known locally and known far abroad, some of the bigger household names too. They learn a lot of business theory, the individuals that go through the program. They learn a lot of pitch skills. Demo day would come around. They would pitch their idea to investors, take them through their deck. But typically, not many, if any, of the startups were ready for first funding. And that's because they didn't have traction. They didn't have the success metrics that the investors were looking for. And I think bootstrapping is one of the best ways to get to the point where they can at least speak to investors from a position of strength. Because they bootstrap, because they brought in those first paying clients and customers through the door, they do have the success metrics. They do have the data. They can tell them, hey, this is how we find customers. This is how long the customer shops with us. This is where they tend to drop off. All the information that I think would give an investor more confidence in being a first funder in the company. It's an issue I set out to address, and I think that really does live within what bootstrapping is. Now, I say I began as bootstrapping, right? And the reason I say began is because something I learned over time is that all startups feel like they need some sort of outside investment. So even though the focus is really, hey, we're going to take you from your current stage to your first paid clients and customers, That doesn't change at all. I do think a lot of individuals who are interested in the program, they see it as a stepping stone to that venture financing or to the next stage up in their business journey.
Yeah, I think it's a great approach. I've been a bootstrapper for a long time. Well, basically since I've ever started doing entrepreneurial kind of endeavors. But from the beginning, I always got the feeling that people are just trying to raise money way too quickly. In some cases, maybe it makes sense. But for most of us, we should be spending more time developing traction, getting some customers, customer discovery, all these types of things that you mentioned. Money should be something, that kind of comes after all those things have been validated and feels like what's really missing is capital, as opposed to a lot of the due diligence and work that just can be done upfront without having raised any money whatsoever. Are you working exclusively with Philly companies, or are you broadening kind of to like a broader geographic?
It definitely started as Philadelphia focused, but what we realized as we were kind of recruiting cohort number one is there was interest from kind of quite a few different places. So a majority of this first cohort does live in the Philadelphia area, but also as long as somebody's willing to play ball with the East Coast time and be on the East Coast time zone, they're going to be able to participate in the incubator if they get into the program. And I say that because we receive a number of applications, but we are selective. Not everybody that applies gets in. So that is something that we're conscious of, really being selective when it comes to who gets in the program. And it runs Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And that's why I throw in that point about, hey, as long as you're willing to play ball with the East Coast time zone, it's possible for you to make it work.
Very cool. Yeah, I love what you're doing. Anything, obviously, supporting the Philly community in so many different ways. Obviously, we have our approach with Philly Tech Entrepreneurs, but I think an incubator is a great way. It's sort of a step beyond that when someone really kind of feels like they have an idea, they need some guidance, maybe they've never done it before, they need some access to mentors, they want some education around tweaking their business model, doing some financial forecasting, all that good stuff. So what's next for you guys? You mentioned a second cohort. When do you think that's going to open up?
So the second cohort will begin October 22nd, and that is where a lot of time and energy is going at this point in time. Just making sure that cohort number 2 can be the best that it can be, while we kind of do the wrapping up things for cohort number 1. During their customer discovery phase, there will be kind of an opportunity for them to pitch to investors at the end of their program. But yeah, always continually looking to make things better, whether that be through what the program itself looks like, the partners who are associated with the program and the services that they provide, just so that the entrepreneurs that go through it have access to as many resources as we could possibly provide them with that are likely to increase the chances of success on their business journey.
Awesome. Patrick, for people that want to get in touch with you, learn more about the incubator, how should they do so?
So www.bootstrapfirst.com is a really good place to find a lot of information about what it is that's going on at the Bootstrap First Incubator. I'm pretty easy to find on LinkedIn. It's Bootstrap Pat, linkedin.com/bootstrappat. And those are probably the best two places to reach me. But of course, if you're in the Philadelphia Tech Entrepreneur Slack group, I am active. I am in there every day. Do not hesitate to send me a message. I love conversations with everybody. It doesn't matter what you're building. I'd love to learn more. I'd love to help you with customer discovery. So don't be afraid to reach out.
Thanks so much for being on the show, Patrick. Appreciate you being a member of the community and look forward to hearing more about Bootstrap First.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this.
That's all for today's episode of Philly TechConnect. Join our community at phillytechentrepreneurs.com. Special thanks to our sponsor, shortlist.io, a digital marketing agency specializing in top-notch link building, content strategy, and web design. Stay innovative, Philly, and see you next time on Philly Tech Connect.
A Lifetime Value Media Production.